The year is 1553. Sultan Suleiman's eldest son was invited to join his father's army near Konya. When Mustafa entered his father's tent to meet with him, Suleiman's guards attacked Mustafa. After a long battle, he was strangled and killed. Why did Suleiman the Magnificent order the execution of his own son, the most popular heir to the throne? Suleiman was born in Trabzon on the southern coast of the Black Sea to Sultan Selim. His mother was Hafsa Sultan, a convert to Islam of unknown origins. At the age of 7, Suleiman began studies of science, history, literature, theology and military tactics in the schools of the Imperial Topkapi Palace in Constantinople. As a young man, he befriended Pargala Ibrahim, a Greek slave who later became one of his most trusted advisors. At the age of 17, he was appointed as the governor of Manisa. Mahidevran was listed among the 17 women of the harem of Suleiman while he was the governor. She gave birth to her only child, Mustafa, who was born in 1515 while they were in Manisa. This gave Mahidevran an elevated position. When Selim died in 1520, Suleiman moved to Istanbul, the capital of the Ottoman Empire, along with his family to ascend the throne. He sought to reform the legislation to adapt to a rapidly changing empire. The overriding law of the empire was sacred law, which, as the divine law of Islam, was outside of the Sultan's power to change. Yet an area of distinct law, known as canonical legislation, was dependent on Suleiman's will alone, covering areas such as criminal law, land tenure and taxation. He collected all the judgments that had been issued by the 9 Ottoman sultans who preceded him. He issued a single legal code, all the while being careful not to violate the basic laws of Islam. Suleiman's legal code was to last more than 300 years. In Istanbul, Suleiman's mother, Hafsa Sultan, selected a beautiful slave called Roxolana as a gift for her son. Her joyful spirit and playful temperament earned her a new name, Hurrem, which means the cheerful one. Hurrem became a rival to the Mahidevran, and her influence over the Sultan soon became legendary. Under Suleiman's patronage, the Ottoman Empire entered the golden age of its cultural development. Hundreds of imperial artistic societies were administered at the imperial seat, the Topkapi Palace. Many great talents enlivened the literary world during Suleiman's rule, including Fuzuli and Baki. Upon succeeding his father, Suleiman began a series of military conquests. His main opponents were Ferdinand I from the House of Habsburg and Tahmasp I of Safavid Persia. In 1521, Suleiman launched his army. He conquered 2 fortresses near Belgrade and then ordered his Grand Vizier to besiege Belgrade. The city fell on the 24th of August 1521. The road to Hungary and Austria lay open, but Suleiman turned his attention instead to the eastern Mediterranean island of Rhodes, the home base of the Knights Hospitaller. Following a 5-month siege, Rhodes capitulated and Suleiman allowed the Knights of Rhodes to depart. In 1526, Suleiman launched a large invasion force of around 100,000 men. He crossed the Drava River on a pontoon bridge where he encountered the Hungarian army. The battle lasted around 2 hours, during which the Hungarians suffered heavy casualties and were surrounded by the Ottomans. King Louis II tried to escape from the battlefield, but fell from his horse into a stream and drowned. In the meantime, 3 strong females were leading the Ottoman harem. Hurrem gave birth to her first son, Mehmed, in 1521 and then Selim in 1524, destroying Mahidevran's status of being the mother of the Sultan's only son. Hurrem gave birth to 6 children, 5 sons and a daughter. According to Turkish tradition, all princes were expected to work as provincial governors as part of their training. Mustafa was sent to Manisa in 1533 and Mahidevran accompanied him. Some Hungarian nobles proposed that Ferdinand, who was the ruler of neighbouring Austria, be king of Hungary. However, other nobles turned to the nobleman John Zapolya, who was being supported by Suleiman. Under Charles V and his brother Ferdinand I, the Habsburgs reoccupied Buda and took possession of Hungary. Reacting in 1529, Suleiman marched through the valley of the Danube and regained control of Buda. In the following autumn, his forces laid siege to Vienna. With a reinforced garrison of 16,000 men, the Austrians inflicted the first defeat on Suleiman. In 1533, the Treaty of Constantinople was signed by Ferdinand I, in which he acknowledged Ottoman suzerainty. In 1533, an Ottoman corsair called Barbarossa was appointed Grand Admiral of the Ottoman Navy by Suleiman. Barbarossa's naval victories secured Ottoman dominance over the Mediterranean during the mid-16th century. Suleiman's mother, Hafsa Sultan, died in March 1534. Hurrem's influence in the palace increased, and she took over the ruling of the Harem. Suleiman married Hurrem in a magnificent formal ceremony. Never before had a former slave been elevated to the status of the Sultan's lawful spouse. After Suleiman stabilised his European frontiers, he now turned his attention to Persia, the base for the rival Shia Muslim faction. In 1533, Suleiman ordered his Pargili Ibrahim Pasha to lead an army into the Eastern Asia Minor, where he retook several cities without resistance. Suleiman joined Ibrahim and they made a push towards Persia, only to find the Shah sacrificing territory instead of facing a pitched battle. In 1535, Suleiman made a grand entrance into Baghdad. During Ibrahim's 13 years as Grand Vizier, his rapid rise to power and vast accumulation of wealth had made him many enemies at the Sultan's court. Ibrahim also supported Mustafa as the successor of Suleiman. This caused disputes between him and Hurrem Sultan, who wanted her sons to succeed the throne. Ibrahim eventually fell from grace with the Sultan and his wife. Suleiman recruited assassins and ordered them to strangle Ibrahim in his sleep. In 1553, Suleiman began his third and final campaign against the Shah. The Shah's army continued its strategy of avoiding the Ottomans, leading to a stalemate from which neither army made any significant gain. A treaty was signed, in which the Ottoman Empire obtained most of Iraq, including Baghdad, which gave them access to the Persian Gulf. As a reward for his excellent participation in the war, Mustafa moved to Konya as governor. The rumours and speculations said that Mustafa was a popular successor, but also that a part of the army was getting ready to put Mustafa on the throne. During Suleiman's Persian campaign, his army halted at Areli for a while. Mustafa was invited by the Grand Vizier to join his father's army. He accepted the offer and assembled his army to join his father's. Suleiman saw this as a threat and ordered the execution of his son. Suleiman became a prominent monarch of 16th century Europe, presiding over the apex of the Ottoman Empire's economic, military and political power. Suleiman also became renowned for sponsoring a series of monumental architectural developments within his empire. The Sultan sought to turn Constantinople into the centre of Islamic civilization by a series of projects including bridges, mosques, palaces and various charitable and social establishments. The greatest of these were built by the Sultan's chief architect, Mimar Sinan, under whom Ottoman architecture reached its zenith. Suleiman allowed Hurrem Sultan to remain with him at court for the rest of her life, breaking another tradition that when imperial heirs came of age, they would be sent along with the imperial concubine who bore them to govern remote provinces of the empire, never to return unless their progeny succeeded to the throne. Under his pen name, Suleiman composed poems for Hurrem Sultan. My most sincere friend, my confidant, my very existence, my Sultan, my one and only love. Hurrem died on the 15th of April 1558 of an unknown illness and was buried in a domed mausoleum decorated in exquisite tiles. In January 1566, Suleiman went to war for the last time. The siege of Zigetvar was fought from August the 5th to September the 8th, 1566, and though it resulted in an Ottoman victory, there were heavy losses on both sides. Both commanders died during the battle, Zrinski in the final charge and Suleiman in his tent from natural causes. His Grand Vizier kept his death secret during the retreat for the enthronement of Selim II. Suleiman the Magnificent was 71 years old when he died.